2020 has been a very rough year, especially for the large legacy carriers. This is especially true for airlines such as Malaysian national flag carrier Malaysia Airlines, which has been going through its struggles over the past decade. This is an airline that I previously discussed in other videos, though recently we just got some updates as to the state of the airline in 2020 amid the COVID-19 pandemic, where according to the airline's chief executive, it has gotten to the point that the airline is facing a potential shutdown. For many observers, especially in Malaysia, this has not been a new situation as it has been ongoing for the last decade. Lately, the travel restrictions in Southeast Asia have added more challenges for the ailing airline. Things have started to take a turn, and as a result, the Malaysian sovereign wealth fund Khazanah Nasional, who also happens to be Malaysia Airlines' top shareholder and is the main overseer of the whole process of rehabilitation, requested a new rehabilitation plan during the summer. Among the other activities that the airline has been undertaking this year has been looking for a strategic investor for the carrier, as well as implementing salary cuts, unpaid leave for workers, and looking for ways to defer payments. Now, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a plan that has been published for the public to view, but from what has been reported, there is a plan to improve the airline's finances in 5 years. Parts of it would include some cuts in costs and attempts to negotiate for discounts from creditors. This plan is heavily dependent on two main assumptions. The first being the airline being able to secure an additional cash injection from Khazanah Nasional, and second, the air travel demand would return to 2019 levels by mid to late 2022. The first start is starting to be under question, as the Malaysia Airlines Group issued a warning to its creditors and leasers if the talks between them and the airline fails, Khazanah Nasional would stop funding the airline, thus forcing the airline to enter a winding down process. To illustrate just how dire the situation is now, according to the Reuters, the airline has a reported liquidity of around $88 million as of the end of August, along with a reported $139 million available through Khazanah Nasional. When you add the factor of the cash burn, which has been reported to be around $84 million a month, which based on these figures and if the airline does not get additional funding, it could lead to a shutdown before the end of the year. While the airline is in a dire situation, this latest proposal has not sit well with some of the creditors and leasers, setting up for a showdown and even more problems for the ailing airline. According to a report from Reuters, some leasers who claim to represent around 70% of the aircraft and engines used by the airline group have reportedly called the plan inappropriate and fatally flawed and are willing to challenge it. It's definitely not a great time with the added pressure now from creditors, though the airline reportedly has a plan B should this existing rehabilitation plan fail. The airline group is considering the transfer of the airline operating certificate to another airline brand and also utilizing the airline operating certificates of both its subsidiaries Firefly and Maswings. This would likely see Malaysia Airlines operating on a smaller scale in a different way. Regarding the Plan B option, Malaysia Airlines Group CEO Isham Ismail was quoted on a Reuters report saying, quote, "If you ask me, is Plan B credible? Of course it is. We have all the skill sets in place." Still, the preferred option for the airline is to secure the support for the rehabilitation plan from the creditors, which the airline is awaiting a decision by October 11, which has since passed. Regarding these developments, this is very much nothing new if you have been following what has been going on with the situation of Malaysia Airlines for years. When mentioned in the past, this has often led to some folks in the comment section saying that the airline should just fold and it's beyond saving at this point. After all, this is not the first time that the airline has entered some sort of rehabilitation process. It did so in the first time in 2014, which was also overseen by Khazanah Nasional and led to the formation of the current company and business structure under Malaysia Airlines Berhad. As part of that restructuring, the airline saw a cut of around 6,000 jobs, or around one-third of its workforce, and the airline has recently been able to modernize its fleet. However, these steps have not taken it to the planned outcome of being more financially stable 6 years later. The failure to turn around the airline since then have been attributed to the high operating costs of the airline, with so many competing airline options to choose from. Another factor is the airline is heavily influenced by local politics. As being a national airline and flag carrier, it has been aided through Khazanah Nasional. With the current situation of the COVID-19 pandemic and the government going through its own financial situation, it likely may not be a great political move in Malaysia's government to offer more funding for the airline. Very much Malaysia Airlines' future now hangs in its ability to secure much needed funding and or if there is a miracle to find a strategic investor willing to inject much needed cash to keep the airline afloat. Otherwise, it could be an end to a long and storied history of Malaysia Airlines as the national carrier of Malaysia. I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching and have a great day.